Hello and welcome back to my channel, Modelmaking Trucker. Now we're going to continue with the 1/350 scale Tirpitz. Now where I've got up to at the moment is we've got the hull made up. I've filled and sanded down the keel and also got the propeller shaft housing part of the hull in place. Now we're going to look at installing the actual propeller shafts, the supports for it and the rudders in this one. So we take our instructions and we're going to look at installing the rudders. Now when we do these, we're going to obviously drill the hole out, install them, but we're not going to glue them down just in case we need to take them out to do any extra work to the actual propeller housing and the shaft. So we want part W21, which are on these two sprues. So you get two identical sprues just there, and then these parts just here. So we take our sprue cutters and just take them off. Just like that. And then sand them down. So I will quickly get these sanded down, then we'll come back and take a look at installing them. We've got the rudders just sanded down. All I've done is gone across, given them a quick swipe over, get rid of any seam lines or anything. This top bit isn't a problem, but if you do want it so the rudders will turn, then this needs to ideally be fairly smooth. But for mine, I am not going to have the rudders turning, so they are going to be glued in place. And all I'm doing here now is drilling through to make the hole for the rudders. So that's got the rudders installed. All I did was take the biggest drill bit and drill as centre as I can in there. But as you see, it wasn't big enough, so I had to change to some bigger drill bits, which rather do it a tad on the small side than way too big to start and ruin it. So these get installed, and on the inside of where this little bulkhead bit was, that the rudder, the shaft of the rudder will come through and sit just in there like that. So it's got a little bit of a gap between the main hull and the actual rudder itself. But before we get them glued in and installed, we want to look at doing the support and putting the propeller shaft in. So we're going to get all the pieces off first. So C17 and C18, and the propeller shafts are D14. So again, when you're sanding, just make sure you go round all the way down the shaft to get rid of that seam line. Try not to flatten the actual curve of it off, and then that will slide in there like that. And then we want our C sprue. Now these two bits, it does make a difference on which side is which, because of the angle of the actual hull. You don't want to be sticking the wrong bit on the wrong side. So what I'm going to do, take them off one by one, get them installed. and all this is doing before I do any cleanup is just test fitting. So welcome back. We've got the propeller housing and the shafts in, propeller shaft housing and everything. We've got the rudders in, all installed, all glued down, so that's all ready to go. And I put the main deck on top just so we can have a look what it looks like with that on. Now, like I say, all of this is going to get covered with wooden deck. We have got bits to take off, fill in, alter and change, but I'm not going to do anything with that anymore with the hull just yet. So we're going to put that to one side. Now what I like to do is build things in sub-assemblies. So what we're going to start with is something that can be stored quite easily. So our instructions ask for us to make up the two seaplanes to start. I'm going to miss that part out for now and come back to it. I'm going to concentrate on the actual main guns. Now that's because this requires photo etch. So we can have a look at our photo etch sheet that looks at our main guns. I'll just get as much of it in shot, which is here. So our start off point is just here. Here we get the brass barrels put in. So I'm going to show you how to do that, and then it's just working down to about here. Now I have had a little look through these photo etch instructions, and they can be quite strange to understand, quite hard to understand. So we look at this and we've got all these little red numbers which correspond to photo etch parts. You've got the WD04 and WD03, which corresponds, I believe, to the wooden deck, which it does just there. And then we've got the big black numbers, so 38, 38, 03. These refer to the parts. So if we look at this part 03 and we come to our photo etch instructions, which refer to part 03, which is here. So they're your skylights. So your skylights go on everywhere where it says 03. Now the only thing I also noticed on this, skylights, you need to make 30 of them. So some of them will be made off camera. I'll show you how to do it on camera, a couple of them, but I'll make some of them off, most of them off camera. But for this part we're going to look at the actual main guns. Now you'll see here that in this bit we've got two numbers, C276 and A277. So they're your plastic parts. Now the difference between these are your A sprue, the A part is this one, and your C part, C ones are these just here. Now the difference is they don't have these little sticky out bits on the sides. So we will start with the A sprue. And we'll cut one of them off. And clean it up. Now, with this, I will show what needs to come off. So everything that on here, on your instructions that is in pink, needs to be sanded off. So that's these ladders here and these parts here. They will get replaced with photo etch. So first things first, we'll tidy the nubs up. Now I also have a tool here that does help if there's any big bits. It's a seam line remover. I'll probably take a bit more off that edge. We just sand it down until it's nice and smooth. like I say, you're best off also going around all of the edge, because you notice when you go across there's a little lip of plastic that's formed when it comes out of the mould, so it's just to get rid of that. Try a different sanding stick. That's that one gone. I'll come along and get in there with this one. You notice it's just a thin beading of plastic that comes off. So there's one there, one on that side. We need to get rid of these ladders here. And by the looks of that one, that's all that comes off. So this won't get covered up, so you don't want to go gouging out at it. There's some of them that you sand it down and the whole thing gets covered up with photo etch, so you can go a bit heavy handed, a bit like if you mark the wooden deck on this model. It's going to get covered up anyway, the plastic wooden deck that is, not the actual wooden deck. That bit's going to get covered up, so it's not the end of the world if you mark that main deck. But this actually won't, so we get that off. So we've got all this clean up, all the detail taken off that we need to take off. It's all nice and smooth now. We've also cut off the base for the turret, so that will go under there. This is also the bracket that will sit in there. We just need to tidy the back up. Although this isn't seen, it's always, because the turrets will clip onto it, it's always good just to give that bit there where it needs to butt up to that there, and also this bit that the turret will spin on, just to clean them up so it will turn nicely, so there's no harsh movements. Now, if you've noticed, I've only got one of the barrels off. That is because we're going to put one of these on instead. Now, I have already done it to the other one. This one just needs gluing on. So, I will show you how to achieve that. There's a few ways you can get your snips and just cut straight through it and then sand it flat. But I have a saw. Looks a bit overkill compared to the size. Now it's always important, hold the piece you need to keep. That bit, we're not going to use that, so if that pings off or whatnot, gets lost, it's not the end of the world. So we're just lightly, and we want to try and keep it as level to the barrel as we can. The straighter we can keep it, the better. And I'll show you the reason for that once we've got this one off. You can, if you want to keep it a bit sturdier, you can either get a bit of tape, tape the barrel to the board, and that will hopefully stop the swaying movement enough for you to cut. And I'm not applying, when I do this, when I saw through it, I'm not applying any pressure on the saw. I'm literally letting the saw do the work. Reason for that, you don't want any pulling movement or anything like that. There we go, and that's off. So we can get rid of the barrel, the tape, and this is the bit we need. So we're just going to sand, just take our sander and just lightly pass over the top. Now, the reason I said keep it as straight as possible, I don't know if you can see that on camera. Let me just try zooming it in. it's created a flat edge there that barrel, the bottom of that barrel, can butt up to if my camera focuses. There we go. So that'll butt up to there. Let's just move the camera out. Next thing, we need to drill the hole for this little lug to fit into. The way we do that, in the instructions it tells you a 1.5mm drill. You just take it and put it into the centre, or as centre as you can get it. Now you can, if you want, start with a smaller drill bit and work up. So you do a pilot hole starting at a 1mm drill bit, then 1.5, 2mm, or no, it'd only be 1.5 anyway, wouldn't it? But I'm just going straight in with a 1.5mm drill bit and hoping for the best. Now you do want the hole to go as straight into it as possible, so your barrel isn't at an angle. And you want to go all the way through. I did it on the other one, I tested it, so I know that it needs to go all the way through. And that is there. And then your barrel will push onto the end like that, and then this will all attach to that, and then you just want to make sure they're straight. When you get them on. And that will fit into there. Obviously this is rushing ahead a bit because we need to glue these barrels into place. And just to give you an idea of how it's going to look, that's what we're looking like. Okay, so gluing these on, what I would do is decide. See, I like the idea of being able to move the barrels. So, you get yourself some super glue. I just decant it onto an old Pringles lid, and then a bit of kitchen towel just to wipe the nozzle of the super glue. And then what I actually use to apply the glue, I just take this out of here, is an old sewing needle. An old sewing needle that I've cut the eye in half with. You can just dab these in the glue and stick them in. So that's one. Just try and get this bit off without pinging it across the room. Again, a bit of super glue all the way around the end of that barrel there. That is 2. And then we can come along and put our barrels on like so. Okay. So we've got our brass barrels fitted, and what we're actually going to do is just look at installing them into the actual turret itself. So just a bit of glue around there, just hold that in place. Don't worry about the brass barrels at the moment, what position they're in or anything like that. We will come to that later. So that's in there now. Just bear in mind that the barrels are heavy, so it will always tilt forward. Next thing we need to look at is doing our actual turret top. So we've got a bit of photo etch to put on this. So we pull our photo etch instructions out and look at what we actually need. So we are doing this one just here. So when we look back up here, it will give us what we actually need, the numbers and call outs for it. So I'll put that to one side. So yes, these 2 bits just here are the 2 that we're going to be using. So once we've got it off, it will be sat there. Now we need to do is a bit of cleanup work. Now photo etch is very difficult to pick up, so I have used a little piece of wax. My wife does the 5D diamond art, and they come with some wax in them. So once you've got it warmed up, I nab a bit, warm it up, just roll it about in your fingers, and then it will pick it up for you. I don't know if you can see that on screen. That is that. This bit just needs to be bent over in half, so all I would do is hold it in my tweezers and just fold it over. Not completely close it, because we want a bit of glue just to hold it. So you take your part. What I do when it's this small, I would just hold it in my fingers like that. You take your glue. Now this, all this is one of the wife's sewing needles with the eye cut in half, just to pinch, just to pick up a little bit of glue, super glue, to pop it on the piece. And all I've done is, once I've got the glue on, I just snapped it short with my fingers, and that's it, complete. So that bit is ready to be installed. Now with photo etch, with it being so small, you're best off, once you've got one bit ready to go on, put it straight on, because you can bet your bottom dollar you put it down, leave it for any period of time, and it will disappear. So again, piece of wax there, just to pick it up and just to check you've got it the right way round. Yep. And what I will do, just put a tab of super glue just on that edge, ready to receive it. Check that it's correct the right way around, and just gently dab it on. You don't want to apply any pressure on it just yet. Once you've got it in position, just push it flat. And there is that piece on. You probably can't see it on camera. I'll get the next two bits on, then we'll zoom in, have a look at it in all its glory, and then we'll look at doing the ladders. So once you've got it cut out, again, just run the file over the ends. And again, this bit needs to be folded. Again, hold it in the tweezers. Just push it halfway because we're going to put a bit of super glue just on the inside, and then snap it shut. And as soon as it's shut, it will more than likely stick to your finger. Pull it off with your tweezers as quick as you can. And don't drop it whatever you do, like so. And that is the next bit ready to go on. To dab on that side, make sure it's the right way round. And once it's on, push it into place, and then push it down to secure it. So I'll go get the next one done, and then we'll zoom in and have a look after that at the ladders. So we've got the second one on. So we've got two there and that little piece of detail part there. They are all installed and ready to go. So we will look at doing the ladders. So we've got our ladder cut off and it has been cleaned up. Now we need to look at bending it. So for that, we take our photo etch bender. So we've put the piece on our photo etch bender. Poke it just under, and what we're trying to do is get it just to the runs. So once we've got it like that, we will take our knife and just bend it all the way up. Undo it. And try and pick it up. And yes, that has bent it nicely. So we then turn it round and do the other side. Again, just push it, trying to keep it straight. And get it just to the runs, tighten it up. Take our knife and just bend it all the way up. And then undo it. And that has made that flat bit photo etch into a 3D piece. So once we've got that, we take our turret back. This time it does make a difference which way this goes on. So you won't be able to see on camera, but there's 4 nubs on this and it's going to be bent about 1/3 of the way down or up. So the smaller section needs to go at the bottom and the larger section to the top. So how we're going to do that, how I do it, is I look where I want it, make sure it's further enough down. So what I actually do is I have the piece on my finger and the plastic part in my hand, and I take a bit of glue and just put it on the actual plastic, take our piece and sit it in that glue and just leave it for a second or two just to hold up. And once it's done, we take a bit more glue, put it on the other bit of plastic, and while holding the bottom, bend the top over. So it looks like that. So I'm going to go and get the other side done, and then we'll come back, zoom in so we can see what it looks like. So we've got the two ladders installed, and I don't know how well this is going to come out. It is actually 3D, so the runs are off the actual plastic. So it looks. Once we've got that done, we can install the barrels and glue the actual housing together. Careful not to knock all that photo etch you've just put on, because you knock it, it will come off. So yes, that is one of the turrets done. And in true Blue Peter style, there's the other three. So the only difference with these is they've got a bit of photo etch just on these bits that stick out. But other than that, the ladders, the bits at the front are all exactly the same. This one is a bit different. It's going to have a little gun in the top there, which we will make up in a later video. I'll have a bit of wooden deck down there as well. But other than that, that is all the guns, or all the main guns, done. So thank you for watching. Next time we will continue. We will do something, possibly look at the funnel and get the photo etch done on that. But thank you for watching. Please remember, if you like my content, like my videos, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and the little bell icon next to it, and you will be notified when I put more videos up. But for now, thank you very much, and bye.